Scott, you're muted. Mr. Cossey, can you unmute him or?
Hey, Scott, you're muted. There you go.
Good. And I am report.
I just unmuted. Okay, so we're calling the meeting to order and need a approval for the consent agenda. Need a motion.
Approval for consent.
Okay, motion by Mr. Gray,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Ingvalson and Mr. Lowry.
Yes.
Okay,
Me.
so need everybody to approve the consent agenda. Give an aye.
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 Aye. There you go. Consent agenda is approved. Okay. Since we don't have any comments from visitors, we're going to skip that and move right on up to principals reports. Anybody got anything they need to add to their principals reports?
I just had, I have one question. I appreciated seeing the survey results from the parents. Keisha Chair and I sent it to the rest of the board members as well. I just had one question, so I guess I'll ask it here under the section. And maybe let me know if it's something we're going to talk about in the session. But I wondered, one of the comments that I saw was about one parent that said they hadn't been contacted by teachers, but most said, you know, we love the contact and the teachers are just rocking it and doing awesome. So I just wanted to know the amount of like teacher contact participation. Is everybody kind of making their own decisions, or do we have some like minimum? How are we doing that now? You know, Keisha, I don't know if you remember that question I'm talking about there.
Yeah, I can speak to that. I think I sent that survey out the first week of April. And so that was, we'd only been out about a week and a half. But I do think all of my teachers have made contact so far.
So is that an expectation? I just wonder how our school was working. Is that something where we set an expectation of teachers that we expect, you know, them to be available an hour a day or call people or whatever? Or is everybody just kind of doing what they feel? Or I just wondered how we're managing that.
In elementary, they're kind of just everybody's doing their own thing. Some have a Facebook group, some have Class Dojo, some, the 3rd and 4th grade have the Google Classroom. And then I've also encouraged my teachers that I'm having them keep a log, and I just want them to reach out at least one time to call home. But a lot of them are doing more than that. But for some of them that don't have the technology or Facebook, or if they're working and they don't have, they don't want their kids to get on Facebook when they're at work, things like that, then at least the teacher can call home and talk to that child at least once.
Once for the rest of the year.
Okay.
So far, yeah.
I'm going to assume we don't have any updates on any of the principals reports, right?
I don't have any updates.
No updates. Okay. Any update on the superintendent's report?
I was going to follow up on the board training that you all did or are supposed to do. I know, Harleen, you turned in a form. Was that you know where you got that form?
It was attached to the email that you forwarded us from, okay. Mayor. It had a form attached to it. Yeah. Okay.
So when you all do that training, if you all would just sign off on that and get that turned into us, we can put it in the file and keep it. That's really all we have to do for that training. That's really the only update I have right now.
That'll work. All right, so we have no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. First item is annual review of policies guiding board member code of ethics, confidentiality, and responsibilities. Just informational.
You should have in your packets information that you've got to read through, and there's some stuff in there for you to sign. At some point, you can mail it back to us, or you can run it by the school. Anytime on Mondays and Thursdays are always good days because we're out here most of the day for sure. Or if you need me to come by and pick it up, I don't mind doing that either. So that's just the stuff that you need to get filled out and read through. And does anybody have any questions on that?
Not really.
All right, that's all I got on that one.
Okay, so we'll move on to update on current closure, informational.
Just wanted to talk to you all a little bit about the closure and let the principals talk to you a little bit about the things they're doing with their buildings. But just want to start with our meal programs. We're passing out about 515 meals every Monday and Thursday. There's 3 meals, 3 lunches and 3 breakfasts in each of those meals. Trying to get those out to families the best we can. We've noticed that at this point, it's a lot of the same people every time. So our bus drivers are doing a great job at hitting those people, and that's really gone well. We have a lot of people that show up at school and get those. We've made some special deliveries in the evenings when people miss out. So our whole goal in the meals is to make sure we get them to the kids, and doing that the best we can. And I think that's something that maybe sets us apart from everybody else, is the fact that, my gosh, we're going to do our darndest to get the meals to the kids. And we know that a lot of kids can't come to school to pick stuff up. So that's why we think it's important to send them out on the buses and try to get it to them. So we're going to continue to do that as long as we're capable and as long as we can. There might be something happen that keeps us from doing that, but we hope not. The other thing, budget. I really don't know how this is going to impact our budget, but we know it's going to impact it pretty drastically. Probably not this year's budget, but probably going forward to next year. I know there was some rumor out there that they were possibly going to hold June payments. I don't know if that's correct or not. Everything I've read and heard from Jesse, they're going to continue to make our payments. Now, next year, they tell us that the formula will be funded completely. And I think they use their words wisely, because that doesn't include things like transportation money and your Prop C money, your classroom trust fund. So I think there's areas that we might see some shortfalls in, but we'll just have to figure that out as we go. We really don't know what they're going to do, and they've said that their budget probably won't be ready till July. I know they're supposed to have it approved in May, but I think they're pushing that back to July. So that's going to put a damper on us trying to approve our budget in June. But I'll give you more details of that as I hear more on what we're going to do budget wise. Principals,
Can I ask you one budget question?
yes.
Can I ask you one budget question? So I was intrigued by one of the, MSBA and Mayor have been doing a lot of work to push out information to us, compilations of various articles and such. And I noticed they had a webinar about, and just the title was, do we have to pay, what are the legal requirements for paying staff and salary, bus driver and not just teachers. So, and I'm not at all saying that we don't, but I'm just wondering what is the legal obligation that we have?
I think legally right now, I think we're still obligated to pay our certified and contracted staff. As far as the support staff and people like that, I don't think we're bound legally to pay them, but I think that's something we're going to definitely continue to do, especially if DESE's going to continue to make our payments. We need to make sure our people are taken care of. I know there's some schools around that we're talking about laying people off and letting people draw unemployment and those kind of things. I look at it like this. I mean, it's a system and we're getting our money from somewhere else. And, it's either we can continue to pay them or they get paid by a different entity of the government. And then you throw in the health care, if you continue to pay their health care or if they lose their health care, their retirement is part of that. So, those are the things that we really didn't want to tackle. So, as far as I'm concerned, let's just keep paying them.
And our income was pretty well based on attendance, ADA, but are they using just what our average attendance was?
Well, it's a good question, but I think what they're going to do is just whenever we stop that last day, they will just figure out what our ADA was for that day. And just base it off a smaller number. You know, it'll come out to the same type of percentage, but it just won't have the full amount of days. Instead of us doing 175 days, we'll end up wherever we were, and those will just be non-attendance days. So that's what I've been hearing. So I think that's the direction we're headed.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay.
I was going to let the principals talk a little bit about some of the things they've been doing. I know they've gotten some more stuff out this week, and I'll start with elementary. Keisha, I'll let you talk a little bit about the things you're doing for grades and homework and those kind of things.
For paper pencil resources for pre-K through 4, we've got some bins out front of our elementary doors that are available 24/7 for pickup, and reading and math, we keep those stocked. As far as technology goes, we're offering iReady kindergarten through 4th, as long as they have the resources at home to do that. And then 3rd and 4th grade, some of those teachers, they've got their Google Classroom. 3rd and 4th are the only ones that have been trained and have their Google accounts. So we're using that for 3rd and 4th. And then teachers I've been having quite a few, I'm trying to send in as many as I can, but my teachers are holding Zoom meetings with their students, and they're starting to set them up every week where they're having Zoom meetings. So I know pre-K's had one so far. I've had a 3rd grade and a 4th grade and a 1st grade that I've got to sit in on. And I'm trying to sit in on as many as I can, but they're trying to hold weekly Zoom meetings, some of them. It's optional.
Does the whole class come in, or is it one-on-one teacher to student?
Whoever can join at that time. So.
Oh, good. So they get a little social interaction with their
Yeah.
classmates too then. Good.
And then every Friday I have a meeting at 1 o'clock with my teachers. We have a Zoom meeting.
Good job on putting that paper and pencil out there. And if it's any consolation, my husband teaches college, and they're paying a lot of money to go, and he maybe has about a 30% participation rate. So I do think it's a challenge for everybody.
Absolutely. All right, Mr. Wirt.
We also have paper and pencil out in the bins. We kind of followed Dr. Panagas's lead and created the bins. And I really wasn't sure how many people would want those. Dr. Panagas helped me make copies Monday. They were out there for about 2 hours and the bins were empty. So I had to go fill them all back up. Ms. Kirchner checked on them yesterday and they were still full in. So we've had lots of people come by and get them. All of our 5 through 8 have a Google sign in, and they're all part of some Google Classroom. I have found over the last couple weeks that a lot of middle school kids do not remember anything about password or a login. I've just give Kasi lots of emails and a list of students, and he gets them to me. And most of I wouldn't say most, a lot of our teachers have a Remind app that they use, and they have the opportunity to communicate back and forth. Some teachers are emailing. Lots of parents have emailed. We use Study Island and Reading Plus. I try to push as much out on our Facebook page as we can. We get some participation on some of the things that we push out there, but as of today, when we pushed out that if you want to increase your 3rd quarter grade, which will be your semester grade, we had lots of communication from parents to teachers today, and they're creating some different assignments, some different projects, so kids can increase their grade. Several other schools that I had talked to were only going to let kids who had a D or an F do any work for a grade, but we chose to go ahead and let anybody, whether you had an A, B, C, didn't matter, do the work. And we've had several kids that had, like one kid had an 88 and they really want that 90 to get it up to an A minus. And so we've had lots of communication today back and forth with parents and students with their teachers. And the pre-K Zoom meeting was lots of fun, by the way.
was cute.
All right, Mr. Amick.
Okay, our next item is approval of the graduating class.
Hold on. Mr. Lance Amick.
Yeah, we're doing this. We're doing a lot of the same things as the middle school, except ours kind of ramps up a little bit with seniors because we had some seniors who had Fs in the third quarter, and they were really predicated on getting those up to graduate. We've actually called those individuals individually and told them what needs to happen for them to graduate, because we had a couple of them that had Fs, and we made phone contact with them. I made an F list, and I've called pretty much 85% of everybody that had an F to let them know that they have about roughly a month to try to recover that credit. Because what I'm worried about, especially if they are in any kind of MISHA activities, with the potential that we may not have summer school. We hope to, and we'll do everything in our power to do that. But they have to pass 6 classes by MISHA to be eligible. And if, we had one kid who had 2 Fs. So if he goes, well, I'm not going to do any work here for a month and I'll just go to summer school and recover that credit, and then we don't have summer school, they would be out, which is even more impactful next year, because normally it goes from the beginning of school to December. Well, if you go look at our calendar next year, that goes all the way to the middle of January. So a kid that doesn't pass enough classes right now would be out all of football, cross country if they played, volleyball, and then half of winter sports, if not more than half. So it's a big deal that they're getting an opportunity to correct those, and we felt like that was something we needed to do, because they just, however bad of a student they were third quarter, they weren't having any chance to remedy that in the fourth quarter. So we really felt like that was something we needed to do. And then like Laura said, we've had tons of communication today. I know there's people been emailing teachers. I've had at least 20 emails from parents trying to inquire how they can remedy these grades. And also, like, I just had Miss Donna Miller's daughter, Liza, email me. She's got an A- in Mr. Name's class and wants an A. So, I mean, you have all kinds of scenarios. It's not just kids that are trying to remedy a bad grade. It's kids trying to improve upon something to even higher standard than what they already had for themselves. So
That's good stuff. Hey, and I know Mr. Amick mentioned summer school. Right now we're planning on having summer school. The state says we should be able to have it at some point, even if we have to go into August. They said we can go all the way up till the day our teachers report to first day of school. So if we for some reason got pushed back, we'd still have it in August if we needed to. So we're going to have it no matter what, unless they just say we can't do it. So right now our plan is to do it. We'd like to do it as soon as we can, but we'll wait and see what they tell us. And they had a meeting last week on that, and hopefully we'll find out some more details coming up on summer
It would
school.
still be the same kind of duration, though?
Yeah.
Same duration as normal?
Yes, be the roughly 18 or 19 days, whatever we decide to do. I think our turnout will be a lot higher this year than it has been in the past. So parents will be getting those kids out.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions on that? All right, Mr. Amick, Scott Amick.
He's muted.
does.
Hey, Scott, you're muted.
There you go.
Okay. Like I say, it's approval of the graduating class of 2020.
All right, in your packet, you have a list of our seniors that we need to approve for graduation. Right now, graduation is scheduled for May 17th, and as of now, we're still planning on that date. We may have to push it back. If we have it on that date, this will be our last board meeting before graduation. So that's why we need to approve those tonight.
Okay, so we need a motion and a second.
Were there any, so Mr. Amick, you were talking about, Fs and contingencies. So is it the list we have? There's one I noticed retained on there, Dana Miller. Were there any changes to this, or we think this is the list we are voting on?
Hey, remember not to mention names.
Oh, okay. Oops, sorry. Is it the list that we have in our packet?
Yes.
That's what we're voting on. No changes to
It
that?
is.
Okay.
And
It's
the
list you have in
motion,
your packet.
I will put the motion down as all those seniors that have met graduation requirements.
Okay.
My understanding, what Mr. Umfleet talked about, even if we vote on them and they don't meet requirements, that's not going to hurt us. But if we do the opposite, then they can't graduate. So we needed to approve everybody that has the potential
Okay.
of graduating.
Gotcha.
Is that
Make
correct,
motion
Mr.
to
Umfleet?
approve that list.
That's correct.
So we need a
Make the
motion
motion to approve that list.
motion by Harold.
I'll second it.
Is that you, Kenny?
Yes.
Okay. So motion by Harold, seconded by Kenny. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Motion carries. The graduating class of 2020 is approved. Okay, so item number D is budget change, but you've already been there, Mike, right?
Have not.
So you're not going to do any budget changes, are you?
Yes.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Hopefully. Hopefully you all will. All right, so our state law requires us to spend 1% of our state monies on professional development. Roughly, that's about $32,000 that we're required to spend on professional development. Now, we're required to only spend 75% of that. And if we don't spend 100% of it, that money gets carried over to the next year. And then we're required to spend that plus 75% of that number next year. However, they give you some guidance that says if transportation's not funded at least 25%, then the board can vote to make a change on that. And right now, our transportation is only funded at about 19% of what it should be. So we can actually change this down to 0.5%. And then we would have, and then the same guidelines would follow. We'd have to spend 75% of that 0.5% and so forth. What I'm proposing for you all is to lower that number to 0.65%, really because we don't have a lot of opportunities for professional development the rest of the way out. We've had to cancel lots of meetings, and I would hate to be in a position next year where we're forced to spend a lot more money than what we need to. That's why I'm recommending this year that we change that to 0.65%, and then next year we'll go back to the 1%.
Good catch. So you need a motion to, how would you word that? Motion to reduce the percentage for professional development to 0.65% from the current one,
That's fine.
or current, okay.
Now
That's
do a
all it needs to
second.
say?
Okay. Motion by Harold, second by Mr. Underwood. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. So now we need a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion, we go into closed session.
Motion by Mr. Miller,
I'll second it.
second by Kenny.
Kenny. Yep.
Okay. All right. So by roll call vote, Ms. Bowers,
Complicated.
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
myself, yes. Okay, I didn't
Yes.
miss anybody, did
Yes.
I? Okay, so
I,
we're good.
I'll say yes as well.
Okay, there you go. Sorry about that, Kenny. I missed you. Mr. Ingbalson. Okay, so now we're in close.
Closed.
We're
Okay.
that's great. Okay. So our next regular meeting will be scheduled for Wednesday, May 20th at 6:30.
The only thing
And
I'd probably
there's-
like to add is at some point we'll have to get together and figure out, like with graduation being May 17th, figure out how where we're going to meet and go through those things.
We're going to meet in your office.
Right, but given the time and going through that, so I'll send out some stuff to you once we get closer to that. I halfway believe Mr. Amick or Lance, and you can probably give some more input on that. You know, there's probably a pretty good chance it might be pushed back. But we're still holding out hope for May 17th.
All right, sounds like a winner. So I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, and thank you all for being here, and a great job, Mr. Dunfleet, on getting this together like this.
Okay, motion by Mr. Miller,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Invalson. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, we're adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Cossie.
Yeah, that's who we need to thank for putting this together.
Yes.
Mr. Cosby. That wasn't me.
There you go.